It's crazy already, but we will start out with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Chairman Clay Mack. Thank you, Clay. First off, we need to approve the minutes of the regular meeting and work session held on August 19th.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes and approve the minutes of the meeting and work session on August 19th.
And I'll second the Vice Chairman.
And I'll make that unanimous. Next, we need to approve the demands and handwritten warrants.
Make a motion to approve the demands and handwritten warrants.
I'll second that.
Make it unanimous. First off, we have a special presentation from the San Carlos Apache Tribe. Lieutenant Noisy? We welcome you here. Glad to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me and allowing us to come and representing the San Carlos Apache Police Department. It's an honor to be in front of you all. Definitely, good morning, everybody. So I got a little thing presented here. Don't want to butcher it up too much, so if I'm looking down at my phone, I'll get it correct. But good morning. My name is Winslow Nosey Jr. I'm a lieutenant with the San Carlos Apache Police Department. I'm here on behalf of Chief Elliot Sneezy. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He had a family emergency. But I am honored to be here on his behalf and behalf of the tribe. First of all, Sheriff Allred, I want to thank you again for everything you do for our police department. The reason for my visit is on July 10th, going into July 11th, the San Carlos Apache tribe was affected by fire, now known as the Watch Fire. It destroyed approximately 2,000 acres, more than 20 homes, and displaced more than 60 people, close to 70 people that are homeless and are currently battling that issue now. When we got to that emergency situation, the first agencies we were called were, of course, local agencies that we reside in, whether it be Graham County, Gila County, and those people that are there to help us. The first agency that showed up was Graham County. Sheriff Allred and his deputies came to our assistance immediately during the evacuations and were very helpful in what we needed. We're a very small department, and so to have Graham County come and help us was amazing. They helped during the evacuations, and so the police department, we created challenge coins for those agencies that were helping us. And so we have a thank you coin, and we also have a life-saving coin. Graham County is going to receive both coins, and you are the only agency outside of St. Carlos that will receive the life-saving coin for their fast reaction, their assistance during the actual fire. When people were being evacuated, Graham County was there to help us out. So we thank you, Sheriff Allred. And I got a list of names. Hopefully I don't butcher them, but these deputies were the first one to show up out there. First and foremost, Sheriff P.J. Allred, Deputy Eli Ellison, Deputy Ed Akers, Deputy Terrence Shaw, Deputy Rose Lacey, and Deputy Justin Boffman. Again, these are coins that were created. This is the thank you coin, and it does have the watchfire in the back, and then here is how we say thank you in Apache. So that's a thank you. That's a life-saving. Appreciate it. again, Graham County Sheriff's Department, thank,
Yes, we need a picture of that, Lieutenant.
again, thank you
Nelson.
for your assistance and always brothers and sisters in law enforcement, and we appreciate you guys very much.
PJ, you have anything to say? Give you an opportunity to say a few words?
I always got something to say, but there's,
I know that's a crazy
there's a
question.
lot of folks here today, so no, there's a lot of agenda you might want to go through, but yeah, you know, we're very blessed, like we always say, to be in the communities that we're in, and it wasn't, we happened to be the first ones there, and along with some other folks that were around that played very, very instrumental spots. But then, of course, there was a lot of folks out of our community got together and brought a lot of other resources, you know, when they brought the bottled water and all that stuff. And I personally think there's a whole lot about that, but when you watch the firefighters and all that stuff when they were down there working, and they were, yeah, they needed to drink a lot. It was hot. There was a lot going on. And so anyway, so that's just all the resources that came in that could help the folks that were displaced out of their homes. And, you know, I often wonder and think about, you know, I think about up our way that how lucky we are whenever you see other people evacuating areas because of forest fires or different things or whatever. But as we've had a couple of fires in the past in some locations, which I guess I won't necessarily mention because you guys that work in the county know where they're at. We've had a couple of homes that caught on fire or whatever, and I thought, wow, all it would take is just a little bit of a breeze and they could muck out a whole neighborhood right here. So now I know why it's time to evacuate homes and different things like that. Also, one other thing that Lieutenant didn't mention, but yeah, that fire was man-made fire, and their police department, along with some of the others that helped them down there, they put their investigation together. They did catch the guy that started that fire.
Nice.
So he's being prosecuted. So anyways, but thank you. Appreciate it, Lieutenant. Yeah, and the chief really didn't bail out. He sent me a picture of his little girl. She's sitting in a hospital in Phoenix on a hospital bed right now. So he's really there with his little tiny girl. So yeah, he didn't bail. He wanted to be here real bad. And he's a great guy, and I wish everybody could have met him today also. But it'll be another time. Thank you.
We appreciate the partnership you guys have built with the tribe and helping each other out. It means a whole lot. And Lieutenant Nosey, we thank you very much for the presentation. Next we have up our County Attorney, Scott Bennett.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes to ask for something I'm hoping we won't need. Ultimately, as the board is well aware of, we've had an opening in our office for some time, and we've had challenges recruiting to this area, which it's not necessarily a Graham County issue, it's actually a nationwide issue. In all candor, fewer and fewer new attorneys want to be prosecutors. So the idea of being able to recruit and bring people in to work in county attorney and prosecutors' offices is not only a challenge for us, but it's a challenge nationwide. In an effort to combat this challenge, APAC, which is the Arizona State organization that assists and oversees prosecutors, has partnered with their equivalent agencies in basically the four corner states. They're doing a regional job fair where they're hoping to be able to invite multiple people in and give everyone an opportunity to sell them on their offices. Now, in candor, I'm hoping our opening that we have right now is filled well before April. But based on the fact that we have been offered a table free of charge at this event, and we need to either accept it or reject it at this point, I'm seeking permission to attend the job fair and recruit for Graham County if our opening is still available at the time. Now, I've told APAC, and they've passed on that We have limited openings right now, and if we're fully staffed, there'll be no need for us to attend. And the organizers are comfortable with that, but they just need us to commit if we have at least the possibility of going. So ultimately, we're asking for permission, but again, truly hoping that we're gonna send them a very nice thank you email letting them know we no longer need to attend. But basically, the job fair, it'll be on April 4th. It'll be designed specifically to recruit prosecutors. I think they selected Salt Lake because there's 2 law schools within about 45 minutes of each other. Specifically, the University of Utah and Brigham Young University both have law schools in the area. They're inviting individuals from not only Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. And we're really hoping, again, not to be there, but if we are there, we're hoping to be able to show what Graham County has to offer. I feel very, very confident that, especially with the young attorneys that I anticipate being at the job fair, that if we let them know first where Graham County is, and then 2, what Graham County is all about, we would have a very high likelihood of being able to recruit to our office. So ultimately, that's my request, that we approve travel, and I'm able to let the organizers know that absent being fully staffed, we will attend, but then with the caveat that hopefully well before April, we'll be fully staffed and won't need to go.
Questions, comment?
I heartily approve of it. That's great. You'd be a great recruiter, as in addition to being a county attorney. And as you said, I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that we can fill that position. But that's money well spent, and you're all business. And so I would support very strongly our position on funding the travel.
Thank you.
So
I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel to attend the regional job fair in Salt Lake City.
I'll second the motion.
Make that unanimous. Hopefully you'll have that filled sooner than later.
It'd be great if we could get it wrapped up very soon.
Good luck.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next we have Cindy Orr, but I think Lori is going to present this item.
Good morning. Cindy asked me to present. I've been working with the school superintendent and the state on this issue, so I volunteered in case there were any questions. So what we're asking this morning is approval of Resolution 2024-08. This is relating to taxes levied in the common school districts, not within high school districts, which Solomon Elementary School District falls under that category. We have been collecting property taxes in 2023 in that district. The state has been going back and forth on what to do with these funds, and it was finally signed by the governor on April 10th that these funds were to go to the state. So we need the resolution directing us to distribute these funds to the state, and that's what I'm here asking this morning.
Okay. Discussion, questions? Anita?
When you say to the state, and they basically turn around and give them to the Solomon School District, is that correct? Or is this going into the state general fund?
So this is money, originally there was an agreement between Solomon School District and Safford School District for the kids to go. It was a set rate. The schools were fine with it. Had been going like that for years. It became an issue for the state when there were other school districts across the state that were charging large sums of money for these students to attend these high schools. The state stepped in and decided to fix the problem. So the funds will go to the state and they will offset the cost. These children were not included in their count. You know, they submit a count of students to the state reimburses the school. These students were being excluded from that count because there was an agreement. Since the agreement is no longer in existence, the state is funding these students through the school count. So this money will offset that cost that the state now has to bear paying for these students in the classroom. So it goes to the state, but it's directed to the schools that are now teaching these students in high school.
So I think it's close to 300,000. Is it 300 or?
For 2023, it was 369,000 was the tax levy.
So that goes to Phoenix and Mayor, and it's gonna be spread out over this, for the state's students. When you talk about students, that's not Solomon junior high students, is that right?
It would be students across the state,
Yeah.
but the increase the state has to pay for these kids now, instead of the school agreement, the state is now paying for these kids. So it goes to the state, and then the state distributes back to the schools.
Okay, I just need to understand. It's
Yeah.
the legislature mandated it. This is, it's a formality that we approve it because the money's, it's already,
Right.
arrangements are already made. I just wanted to be a little more familiar with the process.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Any other questions?
None here.
I'll go ahead and
Motion?
Yeah, it'd be great if we could keep the money here in Graham County, but if that's not to be, then, and it is a requirement, the legislature's already passed it, but I'll go ahead and move that we approve the resolution 2024-08.
I'll second that.
Thank you, unanimous. Thank you, Lori.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have up Brian Douglas, Health Department.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We're seeking approval of resolution number 2024-09. The Arizona Department of Emergency Management and Military Affairs requires each county through resolution have an authorized representative for its public assistance and hazard mitigation assistance programs. And if there was an emergency, Colin Fanning would be the designated authorized representative and point of contact for DEMA to coordinate assistance, and I would be the alternate.
Okay. Questions for Brian?
Just a comment, it's nice to be able to delegate that to someone else, right?
And that's it's very nice, yeah.
No, Colin will do a fine job, and if hopefully we won't, he won't be inundated with claims and paperwork, but this could be a very time and labor-intensive pursuit if funding, is needed and has to be distributed. So, good man for the job. I'd go ahead and make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-09, designating Colin Fanning as the authorized representative for Graham County.
I'll second Supervisor David's motion.
Make that unanimous. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Hannah Duderstadt, our election official, amongst other things.
Good morning. So I'm here to seek the board's approval to cancel the uncontested special district races. And these are ones that have candidates that are equal to or less than the seats that are available. And so this would be for the gift schools in Thatcher, Safford, and Solomon, and then our Mount Graham Hospital Board as well.
Comments, questions?
Just clarification, when you say canceled, just means it won't appear up on the ballot, but those races aren't canceled. We just aren't going to print it because it'll save us
Correct.
Paper and postage.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the cancellation of the uncontested special district races.
I'll second the motion.
I'll also approve that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Julie Rodriguez, our fantastic financial officer.
Good morning. I come before you today, I have two requests. The first, I'm seeking approval of an agreement between the county and AccuDisclose LLC to provide the county with dissemination agent services. This basically goes back to our 2015 bond issuance, and every year once our audit is done, I've been logging on to the Securities and Exchange Commission website and filing our required disclosures. But apparently there are other things that are supposed to be done that I didn't know about. And so to negate the risk to both myself personally and to the county for failing to accurately and timely file documents with the proper legal language, which I know nothing about, I'm seeking this agreement, and it will cost $2,000 per year, and it'll be paid out of the jail district debt service, not the general fund.
Okay. Questions?
No, it's prudent. There's some professional liability, and we asked Julie to do a lot of things, and for her to be an expert on bonds and bond, you know, filing paperwork is probably a bridge too far. So I would, you know, $2,000 is still a lot of money, but it's well worth her you know, as she's presented. It's just a good use of county funds, and it keeps us out of trouble and keeps us compliant. I'd go ahead and make a motion that we approve the agreement with AccuDisclose, an annual contract to provide the county with bond dissemination or bond information agent services.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, Julie, thank you so much for looking out for us and protecting Graham County. Your work is always very much appreciated, so I will make that unanimous.
Thank you. And my second request is for approval of an agreement with Wildan Financial Services to provide the county with arbitrage rebate services. So basically, a little background, we have a bank, BOKF, that holds all of the money for our jail bonds that we're repaying for the construction and operation of the jail. We don't believe this is going to apply to the 3 reserve funds because that money was put there by Graham County to protect Graham County. So we have a maintenance and operations reserve fund, a repair and replacement, and a jail district debt service. However, there's a jail payment fund, which is what pays the bondholders on a semi-annual basis. And we do believe that's the only fund that arbitrage interest would be applicable to. And I was not aware, but apparently you're supposed to file a report every 5 years with the IRS. From 2015 to 2020, interest rates were on the lower end, so we're probably going to be okay and not owe anything. But from 2021 to 2025, we're probably going to owe some interest. So this agreement would cost $3,750 to get caught up to date through September 23rd of 2024. And then it'll be $2,250 for every 5-year report after that. And once again, this will be paid for with the jail district debt service, which is Fund 151, not general fund, because this is basically the money is covering this money.
Comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, my rationale for supporting this has already been stated based on the last very similar situation. So it makes good sense. And when you break it down, once you get caught up, we're looking at $400 a year. You know, we have to pay it up front, but we're getting for $400 a year for that kind of service. And I think it's, again, a good, wise investment for the county.
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we support the agreement with Wildan Financial Services for our arbitrage rebate service.
I'll second that, and just want to thank you, Julie, for all you do for our county.
Thank you.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you, Julie.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, we have an item that our county manager will take.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For several years, we've had an intergovernmental agreement with Fort Thomas Schools, provide a school resource officer, and in fact, Officer Lacey is here with us today, and she does a phenomenal job there. Fort Thomas Schools has been very happy with her, and it's been a great agreement for us. The benefit for Graham County is it puts an officer on the west side of town that in the agreement is able to respond to any calls on that side of the town. And it's been very effective with the schools for education purposes and any crime that they have over there. Fort Thomas Schools receive $70,000 per year from the state for this program, and it's basically a pass-through to Graham County. That covers about 70% of the true cost of the program to Graham County. Another benefit for us is while school's not in session, Officer Lacey is still working for us during the summer months and becomes a regular officer at that time. So this has been a very good program, and Fort Thomas has asked if we'll extend it another year. So we do recommend approving this IGA, and we're presenting that to the board today.
Comments?
No, 30% of a uniformed officer's salary is very reasonable for, in essence, to establish a substation in Fort Thomas and to serve that community. And that doesn't even begin to address the positive views that the students have, both Native and non-Native American students, of law enforcement. When you see Rose Lacey on a daily basis, that changes attitudes. And so it's a great, and we used to pay more to do this, and so we're actually 30% of the salary is we're getting a really good deal. So there's lots of things to recommend the approval of this request.
I'll make a motion that we approve the IGA with Fort Thomas Schools for an additional year for a school resource officer.
And I'll second the vice chairman's motion.
Yeah, we get great benefits from this, so we get the double duty, really. We get the school, the benefits of the officer, and then we get the people of Fort Thomas, a little bit more protection down there, a little bit more response time down there, so I'd be glad to make this unanimous. Next, we have a chance for our board and our county manager to give an update of what they've been doing here the last couple weeks. So, Justin, we'll start off with you, our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll just report on a few things. Of course, we're watching our revenues and expenses closely. In the first 2 months, the revenues on the state shared revenues have come in higher than anticipated, so that's great to see for the statewide economy, and our local sales tax have also come in higher than we budgeted and anticipated, so we're happy to see that. And so far, we're trending under budget as well on the expense side. Just a few projects. We have a lot going on at the fairgrounds. Of course, we're preparing for the fair, so that's keeping Trey and his guys busy enough while AYSO is starting up and finishing softball too. Some of the projects we have in the ag building, we were able to pour that concrete floor. I reported that last time. Our portion now is to put an epoxy ceiling on that, and Matt Hart has jumped in to help the fairground guys out and has already started prepping that floor and getting ready for it. The coating should be arriving today, and we're hoping to get that floor done by this weekend. That would give us 28 days for it to cure and hopefully be ready for the fair. Want to thank the board for their tremendous effort in getting the millings from this recent 8-OP project on Highway 191. We initially were jumping through a lot of hoops, and thanks to all of you working with ADOT leadership, we're able to get those millings placed directly at the fairgrounds. They're being piled up over behind Field 3 at no cost to the county. The contractor even has a grading operator there pushing the pile up, and what we'll use those millings for is to build parking lots throughout the fairgrounds, which we're real excited about, and some other projects throughout the county. We're working with the Historical Society. We've presented them a draft lease agreement to be able to place their museum at a spot at the fairgrounds. So we're waiting on their responses back. We have a contractor at the fairgrounds installing doors on all 4 exhibit buildings. The state fire inspector told us our barn doors were no longer good after 70 years. For some reason, this was the year. So we're putting roll-up doors in and also man doors on each end with panic hardware to get out of there. Just an update on the search and rescue facility. Search and rescue has been the tip of the spear on this project and building a very large training facility behind their existing facility, and it is very close to completion. We'll be inspecting it for a certificate of occupancy here very quickly. They've done a phenomenal job on that building and will be a great additional asset there. Last week, I met with Mindy, who's here with us, to start looking at our ballistic lobby. That was approved in the budget. She was able to get some grant money to build that. And we met with the contractor that had the lowest conforming bid, and he's starting to order parts, and we hope to do that project in November. Just a little update on elections. Hannah McCoy and I attended a national tabletop exercise for troubleshooting with trying to prepare for our general election coming up here the first week in November. And also Hannah's been working on getting the ballot prepared, and she'll be submitting that ballot probably today or tomorrow to our vendor, who is ES&S, to officially do that ballot. One challenge we're going to have, this will be the first time in any Graham County history that we know of that we'll have a 2-page ballot, which presents some logistical issues that we're working forward to be prepared for. Our highway department has been extremely busy preparing for flush coat. Our flush coating project and season will begin on September 9th, next week. They've been going throughout the county on the roads designated for that flush coat, getting them prepared, also cutting back a lot of brush and utilizing that new mastic machine that the board approved as well, which has been very, very effective. Lastly, our highway department is working on several street projects, preparing for those. One is Lebanon Cemetery, the water crossing, reworking that design, and also have been down Powerline Road quite a bit, working on design to hopefully get that project done. Lastly, we've been working on a Arizona Smart Grant project, which is the improvement of 8th Street and First Avenue, and our engineering department's been working a great deal on right-of-way, just seeing what right-of-way we have and what right-of-way we would need for that project, which has been quite the project to work on. And I think that for now is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Welker. Vice Chairman Matt.
I was out of town for a week, and then last week I attended the Graham Fire District meeting and had the opportunity to see the new search and rescue building last week. I want to give kudos to the search and rescue guys. They've worked hard to raise money and gain the funding to do that, and just want to thank them for what they do for our community. Those guys dedicate a lot of time, and just want them to know how much we appreciate them.
Supervisor David.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, over the last couple of weeks, I've been monitoring and attending a national webinar with the U.S. Forest Service regarding national old growth forests, their designation, and the fact that when they designate those forests, and this is an executive order, that they things like timber and some grazing and recreation can end up being eliminated, and trying to work with the Forest Service to at least, we don't have any old growth forests that have been designated in Arizona, but trying to get New Mexico and other states do, especially the Pacific Northwest, try to get them to have a more reasonable approach rather than just saying, okay, it's in essence, it's almost like it's a backdoor wilderness designation, but they do allow some thinning, but it's a concern, so we continue to work on that. There was our Eastern Counties organization had a Zoom meeting the week of the 21st. There was a wastewater webinar that they are upgrading the requirements for water treatment and also septic tanks, and so that has the county impact. And then Julie and I later that morning phoned in on a solid waste transfer facility. They're basically redoing the rates. They need to generate enough money to build the Arizona Department of Economic or Environmental Quality, And so they're raising, in some cases, 8,000% in some areas, and it's you just unilateral. They didn't ask, so there's an effort to push back. The governor's office will do a final review of their recommendations, but since the ADQ is in essence an agency of the executive branch, that we probably ought to just get our checkbooks out. It won't be 8,000% here, but everything from the amount of the per ton cost of us paying for waste that we transfer from our transfer site and drop there at the landfill, that goes up, as well as monitoring and regulating each of our transfer sites. There's a price increase there too. So that is, it's hitting everybody, and they didn't even wait, it's not like next budget year, you got to adjust your budget. So that's a concern, and we're doing what we can. There was a Rural Transportation Advocacy Council meeting that I chaired statewide, and we're getting ready for a summit, and we continue to talk about transportation funding and trying to improve our transportation systems. Not so much capacity, but just to stop the crumbling of our infrastructure and the loss of having to reconstruct bridges and roads rather than just maintaining them. And just about done. There was a board meeting for the Friends of the Library, and it's the Safford City Graham County Library. So we put in about $50,000 a year, and the budget for the library is $1.15 million. That's an expensive library. We put in a small percent, 5%, but it's still, this is a fundraiser that's coming up this Friday. It's a radio auction, and people can support. What it does is it creates funding. About half the fund goes for, the money that raised goes for immediate programs for this calendar year, and books and equipment, and about half of the money that's raised goes to build an endowment or a fund for future support that generates interest and is there as a backstop in the event that there is a funding shortfall. So Lions Mental Health Awareness, we've got an activity coming up in November. I'm sorry, late October, and then I would note, especially with Clay Gomez here, just a point of executive privilege, and I wasn't able to attend, but I noted the passing of Paula Shade, and what a lovely, gentle, kind, and generous woman she was, and she really cared about this community and was a good woman, and she'll be missed. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. On the 22nd, I had the opportunity to attend the Farm Bureau annual meeting at the Branding Iron. They elect our officers, and I always like to stay close to our farming community because of my farming roots. And last week, I spent most of the week down at Phoenix at the League of Cities and Towns. Always interesting discussions down there. I get a little frustrated sometimes. Most everything's about Maricopa, Pima County. There's not a whole lot of rural advocacy down there, which we are advocating to get down there. So hopefully that will change. But I did get a lot of opportunity to talk to legislators, and it was a good cause. And then on Friday, I had a very unique experience. I got invited along with Donna McGowie to go down to the dedication of the Fort Thomas football field to the past coach, Will Hinton. Not only that, we did a tour. I had no idea about the Mount Turnbow school down there that they had in Vilas, and we got to look at that. But their facility is a magnificent facility down there. It blew me away how pretty it was, and the drive up in there. But I had no idea that facility was even there. But the football field was dedicated, and the funding come from our WIFA program through the state. And Supervisor Richard Lunt was the key speaker on that. But it was a very unique experience, and I want to thank Fort Thomas for inviting us down there. And I got to visit with Donna about a lot of things, so I appreciate that. So that's all I have. So next, we will go to, this is a public hearing, correct? We need to close this session of our regular meeting and go into a public hearing on some zoning issues. Steve, you want to kick this off, please?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
We have 3 public hearings this morning. First of which will be rezone 906-24 of a portion of parcel 109-41020. Just the portion of that parcel there that is not got any woods, or just the part that's pretty much cleared off and has buildings on it. Mr. Howard's here today to answer any questions you might have. This is a situation where we ask for Mr. Howard to rezone and come into compliance as we see it. He does not interpret the law as we do, but we've asked him to rezone, and we appreciate his compliance with that. We're going from A zone to commercial general, which will allow the Star Barn to do their mostly a wedding venue, I'm going to say, or at least that's all we know about it. But at this point, I guess, does Mr. Howard want to come speak to it, or you guys have questions? I'll try to answer them.
Before we start these comments, I just want to caution everybody that wishes to speak. You must sign in, and you need to come to the podium. Please don't blurt out anything in the audience, please. Thank you. JR, if you would like to come, if you want to, you can. If not, that's totally up to you.
Like Steve said, this is something that we were asked to rezone to come into compliance. We're doing weddings, events, mostly weddings, but we have had family reunions. Just got done doing a baby shower, just all kinds of events, and it's been a really good. We've had a really good response from the public. They really love it out there, and we've built a really neat place to gather and celebrate things. So I don't know if anybody's been out there to check it out, but it's really beautiful. You should go check it out. So any questions I can answer them.
I appreciate you offering such a facility out there. I have seen it. It's very nice, and I appreciate you complying with our wishes. I know you had a little heartburn over it, but we appreciate you go ahead and doing this. It's much noted, so thank you. Is there anybody out there else that would like to speak, opposition or for?
I had Mr. Chairman, I had a question, Mr. Howard.
Yeah.
When we were changing the road name, again, for the convenience of the county and for, especially for 911, to prevent confusion.
Yeah.
There was some opposition to that from a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And I note that in our packet, you have two neighbors within 300 foot. I didn't attend the P&Z hearing, but was there and maybe this is a better question for Steve, was there any opposition for this? Because I'd heard one of the interested parties of an adjacent property owner was complaining about noise and vehicles, late at night, but I haven't had any kind of follow-up to that.
We received rumors that there was some opposition, but we see nothing in writing. No one showed up to say so. And our board gave a favorable recommendation unanimously. And that's what we bring to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I just brought that up just so that they're, even though they weren't formally lodged, just so that there would be an awareness. And I understand that you are willing to and are a good neighbor and willing to work with and continue to be a good neighbor, but we don't have any, I don't have any stipulations. I have well wishes for you. It's great for our area. It's great for your family and extended family, and so and for you to come into compliance and not have a facility that doesn't have the correct zoning, that we appreciate Steve taking care of that for us. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on this? I don't see any. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the rezone of 2.81 acres on parcel number 109-41-020.
And I'll go ahead and I'm pleased to second Vice Chairman Mack's motion.
I'll make that unanimous. This next item, I am going to have to recuse myself of participating in this, and so I'll hand it off to Vice Chairman Mack.
All right, we're back with rezone 904-24, APN 107-15-075. This is a 2.3 acre parcel up by the branding iron. This parcel is zoned residential site built only, and it's got a 1 acre minimum zoning size, although it is 2.3 acres. Requester is Philip Palmer. Mr. Palmer wishes to change this to multifamily residential to be able to build multifamily buildings on the property. This went to planning and zoning last month, and there were at least five neighbors that spoke against it. And the board got the motion was to approve with a favorable recommendation, and it did get a second, but it then died a horrible death, 4 against, 2 for, so it gets an unfavorable recommendation by default to you. So if Mr. Palmer wants to come present where he's at and what he wants to do, and see if you can see it different than they did.
Thank you. If I get emotional, it has nothing to do with this rezoning. I appreciate the sheriffs all being here. Anyway, regardless, there was certainly some neighbors that were, I think some of them are here again, that had some things to say, and they may get up and say it again, which is totally fine. If I was a neighbor up there, I would agree and think the exact same way that they do, and I want to say that from the bottom of my heart, so I don't discount anything that they're saying, but I did want to go through a couple of things that they said, and one is water. They were worried about the water pressure up there. It's up by branding iron, if you can't tell, if you don't know. And that has been an issue forever, but we did get the engineers and the city of Safford to approve water meters up there for us. They're already paid for, approved, and put in there, so if water is an issue, if that hurts that, I don't mean to point fingers, but that's already been done, and it's approved and okay to do. They were worried about apartments going in. I, for one, don't like that either. When you approve something to be multifamily and then you could go put an apartment complex up there, certainly not my wishes. I told that to them, but I would even be willing to sign a deed restriction that says nothing bigger than a duplex can be built up there. which to me should put any ease about any apartments going up there. Wear and tear on the road, there's no doubt that could be an issue, but I guess everything that we're bringing up, the way it's zoned currently, I've got some friends south of Daly Estates out there that have 16 kids. I know that's not normal, but they've got a 8,000 square foot house or something with a mother-in-law's quarters and 6 teenagers going back and forth. And technically with the zoning I have up there right now, I could build something very similar out there and have tons of traffic and whatever. So I'm just saying that everything they brought up doesn't seem like it would be much, if anything, different than what I could do if I put a big home in a mother-in-law's quarters, which the zoning would approve. Let's see, and then renters, they were worried about it being rented. Again, I could build a house, mother-in-law quarters, rent that too with the zoning that's been done. So I'm not asking for much of a change. My goal would be to probably put a duplex there and rent 2 sides of it is what I would do, or sell it to whoever wanted to buy the duplex. I'm not, but anyway. Let's see, encourage, I guess I would make I don't know if this is something, or even the forum to talk about it, but on the application, I wonder if we couldn't allow or encourage applicants to put a little paragraph of what they're gonna do, because otherwise there's a lot of opposition that shows up to those meetings thinking an apartment complex is gonna show up there or something, and that was never my intent, and I could have said that to everyone and probably appeased a few of the neighbors that came saying some of those things before I even got a chance to talk about it. Anyway, I don't know if there's other questions or if you invite someone else up now.
Is there anybody else in the public that wants to speak on this? Supervisor David?
You have one more.
Oh, we.
I just want to speak on the issue we have with not adequate housing here in this county. It's an issue, and this is an area that we can build some places for people to live, and it's ground that I don't think could be useful for anything else but housing. It keeps the building from moving into the farm fields. I'd rather fill up those everywhere else that we can before we start overflowing into the farm fields. And I couldn't think of a more reputable person than Phil to be able to do that. If I was the neighbors, I would think about, if he can't do that, he's gonna sell it to someone else, and then you don't know who your neighbor is anymore. But I think he would do a good job in doing this, and I think it'd be a good idea, so.
Supervisor David, do you have anything you want to add?
Sure. Yeah, the zoning, in all cases, it's a balance between the private property rights and the good of the community versus the good of a few people. And as Mr. Howard indicated, we do have a housing shortage, and I appreciate the offer, and I'm not sure how to make that a binding offer, of limiting to just a duplex, because if I understand correctly, that could, if this does not go through, you know, as we consider it, then the size of the lot would allow for up to 5, I think, 5 splits. And so instead of a twofer where you get 2 residences, you could end up with 5 residences. Your traffic would be at least 250% greater. Your impacts, your water, those other things. So, you know, those aren't, you know, that's not, you have to kind of dig deep to see what are the alternatives, and So those are some of the things that I am struggling with, and I understand the concerns that that's a narrow road. There's lots of dust. County doesn't have doesn't maintain those roads, and so you have dust, you have traffic, and a little congestion, and people are maybe concerned about property values, about having a duplex versus a single family home. So those are some of the issues, but I think that if our Planning and Zoning Commission had, I don't know if they got a full, if they were able to dig deeply enough to look at both sides of this issue. So those are some of my thoughts. And again, Mr. Palmer is a good man, and as are nearly all of our citizens. And so if he says he's going to do something, I think that he would follow through and do it.
For clarification on your 5 homes, the zoning on that parcel being 2.3, 2 1/3 acres, could only have two homes on it. It is a 1 acre minimum. The zoning itself allows to go down to 1/2 acre.
Okay.
But what they ask for when they zone that and what he currently has today is 1 acre minimum.
Okay. So with a rezone, another rezone, it could go to 5. But currently, if the density was improved.
Correct. Now, if someone, Mr. Palmer could sell me that lot, he could also sell me his dad's lot to the south of it. And on those 2 lots together, I could get five homes. I could resplit it under current zoning. It could have 5 homes.
Okay.
Of 16 kids each, as he said.
So apples and apples, it could either be a duplex or it could be 2 single family homes if he doesn't get the zoning so it wouldn't be an increase unless there were other parcels combined as in density.
Correct.
Okay.
So my concerns are the road leading up to the property. Nobody seems to take ownership of the road. City of Safford paved it. City of Safford has their water and utilities up there, but nobody takes ownership of the road, and it's definitely got some safety concerns. Talking to some of the neighbors up there, their kids have almost been run over walking from the bus up the hill. Do you have any idea, Steve, who owns the road?
It's all on everybody's parcel. I mean, whoever it goes through owns it.
Okay.
It was paved under a deal to, probably in the 70s, to get the tax revenue off the branding iron. It was annexed in itself, but they did not annex the road, although the city built it, as I understand. And they have since come back and maintained it once to some degree, but it's still.
You could end up with a bunch more houses, and that's going to put a lot more traffic on the road. You want to make a motion?
Well, I've got a question, procedural question, and maybe you can answer this, Steve. Maybe you can't. But with if we end up 1 for and 1 opposed, and we're deadlocked, then what is the resolution?
Fails, as I understand it. You have to have a majority, and you don't.
Okay, thank you for that.
You have to have 1 more than half.
Well, Vice Chairman, Acting Chairman, the hazard, if it's approved and it is zoned for multifamily, and if Mr. Palmer then were to sell this and someone were then to use the multifamily and put in apartments, you know, that would all be legal based on the rezoning. But you know, that is not something that I'd be willing to live with. But I don't have as much trouble with a duplex. But I don't know if we have the language, the ability to restrict it to a duplex, and not only for Mr. Palmer's ownership, but also the you know, future ownership. Do you have any guidance on that, Steve?
The only way that I know of to handle that would be if Mr. Palmer, and he has offered to, if Mr. Palmer were to bring us a deed restriction and have it recorded, then that can't change ever. I mean, deed restriction's a deed restriction.
That don't if he was to sell it, that don't transfer to a new owner?
It does transfer to the new owner. The deed restriction stands. 100 years from now, it'll still have a deed restriction on it. There probably is a way to get rid of that legally through the courts, but I've never seen it happen.
Well, will be a conditional, I'll make a motion, but it would be conditional on a deed restriction, as I would approve the rezoning if there was a deed restriction that allowed a duplex on that parcel, and that's the only circumstance that I'd approve the rezone.
I'll second Supervisor David's motion.
Guess that makes it a done deal.
Unanimous.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Clay,
You want to speak to that? I mean, are you okay with that?
Okay, thank you, Clay, for doing that.
All right, our third and final rezoning for today is rezone 907-24, APN 107-55007A. This is 30 acres in San Jose. Request is made to rezone from A general to special development. Requester is Joseph Kennedy. He's got power of attorney from Randolph Sanchez and Manuel John Bertoldo. Mr. Kennedy wants to build an RV park and campground with tent spaces and cabin rentals. This property is south of Highway 70 and east of the San Jose Canal.
Okay.
This went to planning and zoning a couple months ago with asking for a zoning that would allow for an RV park. It failed, and then Mr. Kennedy came in and talked to me and found out that some of what he wanted to do would not have been covered in that anyway, so he refiled under residential special development, in which he can lay out different portions of that property to be different things, and you would approve them maybe singularly, maybe as a whole, but he would have to come back with a plan and you would approve it. This zoning went to planning and zoning, and we heard from quite a bit of the neighborhood. This also received an unfavorable recommendation. And Mr. Kennedy, if you want to come plead your case, we'd be glad to hear from you. You guys got any questions while he's coming?
Not for you.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Joe Kennedy, and we're here. We've done this before, but we're here. We're requesting a rezone of the name parcel from a general to a SD, residential special development zone, as Steve said. I just want to say, first of all, to the neighbors who do oppose me, I apologize. I wish I could have met you on different terms. I tend to get along with everybody, but under these terms, it's just, it's unfortunate. But I'm glad we're here now and we can address this. That's what we're doing. We're addressing the concerns of the community. And we were here in May asking for RMH. We were denied because of this concerns that some of the neighbors have had. We want to build a campground on the name parcel, on the parcel that's listed up there. Manuel Bart is here. He's the owner. And last time we were here, we didn't have a good understanding of this process or what it entails. This is all new to me. This is not. I always worked for somebody my whole life. I'm self-employed now. So, but praise God, we're given another opportunity.